What up, YouTube? Here with a post-fight video for Dmitry Bivol versus Gilberto Ramirez. Now, before I give y'all the summary of what took place in the fight, I'm going to tell y'all the results first. Dmitry Bivol was able to retain his WBA light heavyweight title. He won via unanimous decision. I personally had the fight score 118-110 in favor of Bivol. That goes to show you the fight was pretty much one-sided. Bivol did a good job at putting his punches together. He put his combinations very well put together. And he did a good job at avoiding and defending against Ramirez's offense. Ramirez couldn't really get his offense going like he normally does, and he did a great job at outboxing Ramirez. And yeah, Dmitry Bivol yet again adds another impressive win to his resume. I would say this might be one of his most impressive performances yet. Of course, Dmitry Bivol catapulted his name up more globally and now is more recognizable after the biggest win of his career in his last fight before fighting Ramirez. He defeated Canelo Alvarez, who in a lot of people's pound-for-pound rankings was the #1 ranked fighter in the world before fighting Bivol. And I don't know, some people may still have Canelo Alvarez as their #1 fighter on their rankings. But Canelo Alvarez, I would say, is the most recognizable name currently in the sport. And for Bivol to have a win over him definitely catapult his name up as one of the more recognizable names in the sport. And he's a champion. He's been the WBA light heavyweight champion for quite some time now. He has wins over recognizable names in the sport like Jean Pascal, who's a veteran, former world champion himself, and also he has a win over another former world champion, Joe Smith. And now he defeated Gilberto Ramirez, who's a veteran, had over 40 some fights, undefeated, former super middleweight champion up until last week when Dmitry Bivol defeated him via unanimous decision. Regardless of the fact that Ramirez had been fighting as super middleweight for the majority of his career, because I believe Ramirez, this was his first time challenging for a major world title at light heavyweight. And you know, he couldn't really get his offense going. Like I said, he didn't fight as aggressive, but a lot of credit goes to Dmitry Bivol for fighting a very smart fight, a very I would say skillful fight that Dmitry Bivol fought last week, defending his WBA light heavyweight title versus a former undefeated veteran, former world champion in Gilberto Ramirez. And I'm bringing up the fact that Gilberto Ramirez was a former super middleweight champion and has fought as super middleweight for the majority part of his career. I brought that fact up because a lot of people, you know, who isn't as knowledgeable about the sport would think like, oh, okay, this guy's coming up from a weight under, so Bivol might have had that, you know, size advantage like he did versus Canelo Alvarez, who is currently the undisputed super middleweight champion. And mind you, like I said, Ramirez was a former WBO super middleweight champion. That didn't matter, because if y'all go look at the fight yourselves, y'all could tell the size difference. Ramirez is the bigger fighter. He's 6'2", and Dmitry Bivol is only 6 foot, so that's a 2-inch height advantage for Gilberto Ramirez. And also Ramirez had the longer reach. And shout out to Bivol, because he's the conventional stance fighter, the orthodox stance fighter, while Ramirez is a southpaw, and he's a veteran. And you know, he tends to, you know, have the advantage being the southpaw versus the orthodox stance fighter. And Ramirez knows how to utilize that southpaw stance. But Bivol did a good job at having a great foot positioning and as well as utilizing the angles while putting his punches together. Bivol, like I said, this was one of the most impressive performances that I've seen from him thus far. There's obviously talks about him having a rematch versus Canelo Alvarez. And Canelo Alvarez, I don't think is as interested as a lot of people might think he is, because he is a super middleweight champion, and he started his career as a junior welterweight, super lightweight. He came up all the way from there to being former world champion at light heavyweight. So I don't know if he's got a lot of interest in stepping back up to light heavyweight to challenge Dmitry Bivol for his WBA light heavyweight title, because he's coming off a win versus Gennady Golovkin a few months ago in the trilogy bout. So I don't know if that rematch is coming between Bivol and Canelo Alvarez, but Bivol had let the public know that he wants to become undisputed light heavyweight champion. He's the current WBA light heavyweight champion. There's only one other champion at that division, and that is Arthur Beterbiev, who holds majority of the titles at light heavyweight. Another undefeated fighter who has all his wins via knockout. And Bivol had expressed the fact that he is interested in trying to become the undisputed light heavyweight champion. Nowadays, there's been a lot of undisputed title fights in the sport of boxing, and this would be a great undisputed title fight added on to that list. Bivol versus Beterbiev, two undefeated fighters, two champions, fellow countrymen. It should be a good match. Beterbiev versus Bivol. I think that's the fight to be made at light heavyweight, and I think that should be next. I know Bivol is working with the Zone and Matchroom, while Beterbiev is with Top Rank and ESPN. So I don't know how the promotional work's gonna go. I don't know how difficult the promotional differences might come into play to make this undisputed title fight happen between the two undefeated light heavyweight champions. We'll have to wait and see. But that's definitely the fight that should be made next in the light heavyweight division. Y'all let me know what y'all thoughts are in the comments. That does it for this post-fight video. Comment, subscribe, share, like, all that good stuff. And I'm out of here, y'all. Peace.